You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Darrell Kinsey Jr. Welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, October 7th, 2021. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special episode ahead of you. I'm not even going to get into the beginning spiel. Let me just go ahead and get my co-host in here. Michael Ward is going to be joining us this evening. Unfortunately, no Christopher Lehman, but he did give his words. Michael, welcome to the show. And I think we're just going to go ahead and get straight into it because there's no reason to even wait a single solitary second for this.
I've been waiting for this moment for my entire life.
Did you see that cup race on Monday?
Yes. Yes, I did. I've been waiting for this moment my entire life.
I listened to it on the way home. The Yellowwood 500. I was hooping, hollering, yelling the entire way home. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy to announce that for the first time since 1963, we have an African American winner in the NASCAR Cup Series. Bubba Wallace wins the Yellowwood 500. I haven't broken this out in a while, but I think this is appropriate. And Michael, we talked about it earlier. A lot of people will complain that it was just a rain delay win, but Bubba got up there in that last 15 or so lap stint. He was back in the top 15 before they started. He methodically worked his way up front, and he used that third line. He basically created that third line to get up there and was basically shot out of a cannon on his way to victory.
Basically, and I think the crazy thing is that the race technically wasn't over at that point, but with rain on the way, it was basically like 20 laps to go. And you know how restricted plate racing gets with less than 40 laps to go. So the fact that he made it from 15th all the way up to first like that, that definitely shows he's got a lot of skill.
Yeah, and I was listening to it. The reason I was listening to it, I didn't really get to watch until I got home, is because of the situation in Talladega where they don't have lights. They started at noon, so I was in the middle of my work day when the race started. I got to listen to it in my headphones while I typed away, thanks to the NASCAR app and MRN. So listen to the race, and I got into the car and basically heard basically all of the running laps, I'll say that, in the car, which MRN does an amazing job at their commentary, so that wasn't a bad thing at all. But when I heard Bubba was coming up and then he got the lead, I just pumped my fist in the air while I was driving. I was driving safely, but at the same time I'm thinking, okay, when is the other shoe gonna drop? When is he gonna get shuffled to the back? Or when's the wreck gonna come that takes him out? And it didn't really happen. And when I was listening, I haven't got a chance to watch it back yet, Bubba did a really good job of playing the lanes. We've seen a lot of the more experienced plate racers do this, where they'll go to the bottom lane when it gets a run, stop that run, move back up to the top, and just kill both runs kill both runs behind them. Bubba did a great job of doing that, and we've seen him in other races before. He's a great plate racer, but in previous races, he didn't have that psychology of how to play the lanes. And this time it clicked with Freddie Kraft on the radio, basically being air traffic controller, and he played those lanes expertly. And the best thing, he held the Penske duo behind him. When you get to any plate race, the two drivers you got to watch out for, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski. And Michael, if those two, he fought them for the win. He held them back legitimately. As far as I'm concerned, this was a good win.
definitely. He won. He managed that race perfectly when he got into the lead. I was so stunned, but also like proud to see him do that. Just manage the pack like perfectly like that until the rain came.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of praying for rain, honestly. When he got into the lead, I'm like, please start raining. Please start raining. Please start raining. And it's not like I didn't think he would be able to get it done if the race went the entire way. Bubba had a fast car, and by the way he made that move during this final segment, if that race goes the distance, I think he's in there in the conversation to win the race. Who knows what happens? We know when these races go official how crazy they can get at the end. But once the caution came out, I let out a cheer because I'm like, that's it. It starts raining right now. It's all over. So they're under caution. MRN goes to commercial. They come back and we hear the words that it has started raining on the track. And I'm just like, please, Lord, let this be the day. And it finally was the day. I hope I'm getting the emotion of what I felt on Monday through. It's been a few days, but... And Michael, I'll start with you. I was on Dropping the Hammer, recording for Dropping the Hammer yesterday when you hear this, and talked a little bit about it. So, where were you when you heard it, and what were your feelings when Bubba finally did it?
I was watching the race as it was happening. So, when it started raining, I was like, it's over. It's over. He's the winner. And as I was, watching, him, waiting for the announcement, because basically everybody was kind of coming up there congratulating him, because deep inside I knew he was the winner, but it's just like you never know. Like the rain could just stop, and I was just like, please let this be it. And they called it. I was happy for Bubba. But also, Daryl, like, I was happy for, childhood me and a lot of the other, African-American children who actually wanted to become NASCAR drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think growing up, we really, besides the story about Wendell Scott, I don't think we really had anyone to really look up to who looked like us. So when he won the race, it's just like it kind of solidified. Finally, I have an idol that looks like me that I can root for. Like I have Lewis Hamilton in F1. Now I have Darrell Wallace. And, I was just like, childhood me finally witnessed somebody winning this race that looks like him. Mm-hmm. It was almost like a dream come true.
We talked a little bit about this. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, and then all the celebrations happened, and then did you know that apparently Lewis Hamilton actually sent something to Darrell Wallace?
Yeah, there was a lot of mainstream folks that were giving their shout outs. I saw that Magic Johnson tweet out something. I did see the Lewis Hamilton congratulations. You hit the nail right on the head. I've been watching racing pretty much my entire life. I can count the amount of times I've seen someone that looks like me on the track before now on one hand, and so I have plenty of fingers left. African American participation in racing, we know, has been historically not much for a variety of factors that we would need a completely separate hour to get into. Even when African Americans got into the sport, it's not like they had an opportunity to actually be successful. They either were in fly-by-wire operations or teams or situations that weren't well funded, and they came up and disappeared. We never heard of them again. I started following Bubba Wallace since his Canon East days. He was winning races down there. It was fun seeing that. He comes up and wins in the truck series, has top 10 points finishes. That was exciting. And you start thinking, okay, we might have something here. He goes to Xfinity, takes a little bit to get used to those cars. He has his best statistical season before that Roush Fenway Xfinity deal goes away due to lack of sponsorship, which would really be, unfortunately, a part of Bubba's career, to be honest. Which, by the way, he would have won that Dover race if it wasn't for Chris Buescher, and I'm still not salty about that, by the way. But he gets in the Cup with Richard Petty Motorsports, and we know the story of that team's competitiveness or lack thereof. There hasn't been a lot of it. So he goes to that team, runs respectably, but that team never, ever really has the funding to do anything. And then the JGR, this deal comes together with 2311 Racing, and you're hoping that in the future, this could lead to some wins and some good finishes. I didn't think they were going to win this year. In fact, I said at the beginning of the season, they're probably not going to win this year.
Me and you, and I think Chris said that they're probably not going to win this year.
Yep. And Chris, unfortunately, can't be with us this evening, but he did say that he was happy for Bubba. He wished it wasn't a rain-shortened win, which I completely understand, but at the same time, I'll take any win at this point, especially when you're a new team. You take them how you get them. Right.
And like I said, I'm just so happy for the team and all those guys there for finally for getting the win. How many race teams can you say got the win in their first year in NASCAR? How many teams can you say that?
Well, there's only two that did it. Hendrick Motorsports and Spire. With Justin Haley last year, and Bodine got the win for Brett Bodine, I believe, got the win for Hendrick, and I'll check that here while we're talking. But seeing that win just felt so good to see someone that looks like me finally win a race. Even if it was rain shortened, I still think Bubba wins that race, even if it's not rain shortened.
Yeah, if he didn't win that race, I think he would have been in the running for that race.
He's definitely in top 5. It was Jeff Bodine that won that race, not Brett Bodine. I'm sorry.
Right.
He's still in the talking to win that race, I believe. But anyway, it really vindicates, watching. I got to see Lewis Hamilton utterly dominate Formula One. I've seen Antron Brown and J.R. Todd win in the NHRA. I've seen James Stewart for a couple of years absolutely dominate in Monster Energy Supercross. But NASCAR is my first love. You guys know this already. And I never got to see someone that looks like me win in it. We know the story of Wendell Scott in December of 1963. Jacksonville Speedway, all the nonsense that came with that win, unfortunately. The family just got the trophy, or replica trophy for that race this year. We don't really know what happened to the real trophy. But to be living, breathing, and cognizant and see someone that looks like me picking up that win feels indescribably good.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember this race probably for the rest of my life.
It's definitely one of the most top 10 NASCAR moments I've ever witnessed.
And we had a conversation about this on Dropping the Hammer. So I kind of want to bring this to you, Michael. Where do you rank this race as far as, landmark wins for NASCAR?
It's definitely among the top 10 landmark wins for me because there's a lot of NASCAR history and a lot of amazing moments. But this has got to be in like my top 10 because there, like I said, there's so many moments, but this has been the first time like a person of color won a NASCAR race since what was it, like the 1980s, Daryl?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the first time that's ever happened in like that many years. So I gotta say this has been like at least one of the top 10, if not top five moments.
I said it last week, or I said it. I'll say this. I honestly think if you take the 2000s era, the internet age of NASCAR, I'll call it, which is from 2000 to now, this might be the biggest win for the sport. Even over Junior winning at Daytona in July. Because this was a major statement for NASCAR in a racial sense. We know where their standing is with black people. Michael and I know that better than anyone, how that goes. NASCAR has not had a good relation with African Americans, especially in the last 5 years or so. They've tried to get better, but it just feels like they go one step forward and about 9 steps back. So it is to see this win with everything that happened with Bubba, by the way. Let's just go through that. You know, he stands up as the champion of black issues during the George Floyd situation. All the hate that he got from that. NASCAR trying to recover from the Kyle Larson N-word thing. The noose, which was a noose, no matter the reason why it was there, it was a noose. The FBI called it a noose. It is what it is. All that situation, it just, the year's worth of vitriol to come through now, all the expectations of 2311, and they break through for a win that got broadcasted not just on ESPN. CNN covered it. MSNBC covered it. I think maybe in Forbes as well. You know, all of these mainstream news outlets. Bubba's on the Today Show giving interviews. I think he was on the Good Morning America, I think it's called. He was on Good Morning America, I think yesterday. Usually we only see that for the Daytona 500 winner, but all of that outpouring and all that mainstream attention put on this one win, I think you've got to put it up there as it's the most important win for NASCAR in the 2000s. And now the important part is going to be, Michael, how many times does he win after this?
Hopefully he wins more in the future. I definitely see this as a momentum boost for him. But 2311 as a whole still has a lot to look forward to next year because I feel like they've gone through most of this year. They have experience. They know what to look for next year. So I think he wins a couple more times. Maybe even at the end of this year. Or maybe definitely next year I can see him winning a lot more.
I don't know what next year is going to bring with this new car. I mean, everyone's going to be on level footing. And thankfully we're going to get practice, whatever it's going to look like, and qualifying back. So that's going to help. I think he's going to get. I think they could win next year. I don't know how much, but you want to see improvement. But what I'm saying right now, 2311. I don't care how much money it costs. You get Booty Barker on that box. You keep him there because the conversations between him and Bubba have just been night and day. And Michael, I don't know if you've heard any of the radio conversations, but Booty has been such a calming presence over there for that team. It's really mellowed Bubba out. I think they have much better communication than when Wheels was over there, even though Mike Wheeler is still with the team. I really think this is going to be a good fit for Bubba going forward, and I hope Booty Barker can stay up there for a long time because this could be a good partnership.
Yeah, I hope he stays up there too because they really had a lot of good chemistry together, and if 2311 can definitely produce a faster setup next year, I definitely see 2311 being in the talks next year.
It will be fun. And I don't know if you kept up with a lot of the celebration. I saw Freddie Kraft's Twitter that the hangovers were fierce. I don't know how many people made it to work that day, but I know there's a lot of people that were, I think they're still feeling those hangovers right now. A lot of alcohol that was drank by that team.
Oh, I'm sure.
My question to you is, how many people do you think actually made it to work for that competition meeting the next day? Because I'm honestly at like 50%.
I'm right up there with you. I think at least 50%. I think the other people were having really mean hangovers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a win, man. You gotta celebrate. Come on now.
And I saw some photos, and they had a good celebration, and I'm happy for everybody over there. What's coming up next now is a race that has been pure chaos the last few years. The Roval comes up this week. Gonna be a fun race. What are you thinking about this? We go to the Charlotte Roval, last race in what I like to call the round of chaos in the playoffs, and we got a lot of drivers here that we usually expect to be up front in the points, and a lot of drivers that we thought would be cruising in trouble now in terms of the round of getting into the round of 8, with 2 of the Hendrick cars below the cut line, basically in must-win territory. Alex Bowman and William Byron. And then you've got Kevin Harvick that is holding on by a thread. He is 9 points behind Kyle Busch to get into that semifinal round.
I still can't believe he won't win this year. He may go win this. Let me not say that.
I still have no idea what he's going to do.
Can we really just think about the possibility that Stewart-Haas Racing went winless this year?
That team is really bad. I mean, we've still got time, but man, that team has had a regression.
Yeah, you don't even see. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I forgot they had 3 other cars out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll see the 14 and I'm like, wait, that's a Stewart-Haas car? So I don't know. Hopefully they can fix get the monkey off their back next year, because right now I can't believe what I'm looking at here.
We have, and coming into it, Kyle Busch is the last one in, but do we really think he's going to stay in? Kyle's record at the Roval, not good. He hasn't finished higher than 30th in this race. If he can't fix that trend on Sunday, his playoff hunt ends his championship hunt, ends in the round of 12. What do you think Kyle's going to do? Is this going to be the race of redemption for him at the Roval?
We'll see, because he definitely needs to win to get up there or to solidify himself in the round of 8, because we have some pretty good road course drivers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely going to be hard for him to win. But he needs a good, solid result, if anything.
He needs something, because another 30th place, that's going to be it for him. There's been some conversation about Kyle Larson after he got into an incident at Talladega. He's now only 22 to the good. I think Larson is going to be fine. He's a good road course racer. He'll probably be up there with Chase Elliott all day. And all he needs is a solid finish, and he's on to the round of 8, and I think he'll get it.
Unless something crazy happens, because this is the race of chaos.
Yeah, it's gonna take a act of God, I think, to keep him out of there. And speaking of act of gods, let's get a check on the Charlotte weather. See if we're gonna have any of the dreaded rain, since we can't actually race in the rain there. There's a 50-50 chance of precipitation. On Saturday. Sunday's supposed to be clean, mean, and green. Temperatures around 80 degrees there in Charlotte. Humidity 69%, so take plenty of water because it's going to be a hot one. But unfortunately, none of the wet stuff on the racetrack, at least for Sunday. Saturday, Xfinity race could see a little bit of rain during it. Pretty good rain chances all the way up till about 6 p.m. on that Saturday. But then again, these weather patterns can change between now and the race. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the newest happenings in Formula One as we're getting ready for the Turkish Grand Prix, and whether or not Lewis Hamilton's going to hold on to this championship lead, because I still think it's advantage Mercedes. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Daryl and Michael here with you this evening. Chris unable to join us, but he'll be back next week. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some sad news over the weekend that former NASCAR Camping World Truck Series driver John West Townley was shot and killed on Saturday. And as the news continued, the story got even more tragic in the worst way possible. When we found out the supposed circumstances around his death, it was reported by outlets that John West Townley allegedly broke into the home of his ex-girlfriend or his ex-wife. Allegedly, he had an axe and another individual in the house. I'm not sure what that man's connection to the ex-wife is. Shot John West Townley. Accidentally also shot the ex-wife. She is expected to survive. I actually need to look up her name so we can stop calling her John West Townley's ex-wife. I apologize, but Michael, it's just a sad situation. Laura Townley is her name. There's conflicting reports. Allegedly, there's some stories that say she passed away. There was a tweet that said she's still alive. But either way, the situation is just awful.
Yes, it's definitely awful. I think I was watching the Truck Series when he won.
Mm-hmm.
But just rest in peace, Mr. Townley.
I don't know if I can say rest in peace, but
I'm just trying to be respectful here.
Yeah. I can just say that Laura, I hope she gets well. I'm reading a updated story that looks like she is okay or is expected to survive. So, which is the good part of this. And I just hope that she gets the help that she needs after this, because this is going to be tough for her to process, and trying to get out of a abusive situation, to have this happening, it's not cool. And I'm just glad that the friend was there to deal with the situation before it got any worse. So that's about all the time I want to spend on that situation. And my condolences, well, not really condolences, but my prayers and get well soon thoughts go to Laura Townley. And hopefully she gets well soon. That's about where I want to go with that. So I just wanted to acknowledge that situation that we unfortunately did see about it, and we will now continue with the rest of the show. If you want to hear me scream about simulated boats, you're going to want to join us on the UHL Hydroplanes Facebook page on Saturday as the Saturday Night Hydroplane League returns for Season 4, and the Rooster Tail Talks presents Saturday Night Hydroplane League Division 1 gets started at virtual Gunnersville, Alabama for the Southern Cup. Join us, 7:30 p.m. I will be on the call. You guys are going to enjoy the heck out of that. Please come out and listen to me excitedly call some simulated boat racing. Can't wait to get the season started. Had a lot of fun last season. Can't wait to get that going here in 2021. But let's go ahead and get back into the meat and potatoes of the show. That is Formula One. Turkish Grand Prix is coming up. Last year was chaotic, as much of the 2020 F1 season was. Lewis Hamilton ends up winning that race comfortably. But Michael, going into this year's edition, I don't feel confident that Mercedes is going to get the win here this weekend.
Nah, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely going to be a fight for the win, because you got to remember Max is coming in with a fresh new engine. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure.
And the problem is, Mercedes can't do the same because we know their car is not good in traffic. Really, none of these cars are good in traffic, but their car is definitely not good in traffic. So if they take the penalty, I don't know if they're going to be able to get back up front and, challenge for points. To be fair, Verstappen got lucky with how the rain went in Sochi, but I think if it's a straight-up race, I don't know if Lewis Hamilton can get back up there to the points to minimize the damage, and you really can't take that chance right now. With the lead being as scant as it is between the two, he's got to keep pushing on these engines, and we've seen Lewis has not had reliability issues. They could rear their ugly head into the final few races of this season, and that could be the turning point on who wins this championship.
That's the last thing he needs is a blown engine and scoring no points.
Yeah.
Because that's basically how he's lost championships in the past.
He would already have number 8 if it wasn't for the year that Nico Rosberg won. He was leading comfortably at Malaysia and the engine died. So we know it's happened before.
So I'm not sure what they should do, Daryl. Part of me feels like they should take the penalty and just try to, take the loss against Red Bull that day, but part of me is saying maybe it's not. Maybe something crazy could happen. Maybe they could crash, but I don't know. It's funny because they're fighting a very, very strong and well organized opponent who's already have a new fresh engine.
And the other thing is how these pit stops gonna work out. We've seen, the new system with the new system of the pit stops requires manual input for the light to change. And that's caught these teams out this year, or not this year, but these last few races. Seen a lot of slow stops, which F1 was trying to do, to slow the pit stops down. Thank goodness, to be honest. But that could rear its ugly head as well. And another thing we have to look at, McLaren. They've got a lot of pace now. I think this is their true pace for the rest of the year. They could start taking points away from these teams.
Yeah. It's just like they can't factor. I don't think any of them should factor out McLaren at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could slip in and they could score some wins and some podiums. So they can definitely be a spoiler.
And I think that going into it, with McLaren, with Lando Norris, who should have won that race in Russia, if he just goes into the pit, just change the tires, Lando. He's going to be kicking himself about that. But I really think if you're Red Bull or Mercedes, you've got to watch those McLarens because they could sneak a win. And I think they will sneak a win. They've already snuck one with hold on, trying to make sure about Monza. Sorry, I had a brain fart. Yeah, they had a win with Ricciardo at Monza, making sure I wasn't hallucinating. Norris will get up there and get a win too. Say that again.
Norris is pretty good at qualifying. Let's not lie.
I mean, both those cars have been really good at qualifying, so they can get up front. They could stay up there. It's going to be a challenge. And we've got practice 1 starting in about 7 hours, so we'll get to see where they are. But the two teams up there, Red Bull and Mercedes, they're going to have to watch out. We also know Red Bull's coming in with a brand new white livery just for this race here in Turkey. Chris, we talked to him through text earlier today, said he's excited about it and also excited to see Max drive it to victory. I don't think it's going to be that simple, but we'll see. It's going to be a pretty car, but we know what happened to Mercedes when they ran a special livery. We'll see if that curse goes over to Red Bull as well. All I'll say, it's going to make the next Drive to Survive season even more entertaining.
Oh, definitely. Can't
So
wait
that
to
race
see
will
this race
happen.
coming up.
Yep, so we get to see that race on ESPN2. Turkey is trying to get back on the schedule, by the way, for a 10-race deal. We've seen that Qatar also got added to the schedule. They also signed a 10-year deal. A lot of these tracks with 2020, they got another chance at the Formula One pie. They definitely want more of it, but the schedule's getting pretty bloated. Liberty Media wants to put 2 more races in the United States. I think they're trying to cover every time zone at this point, which, they put one in Vegas, then they got to get one on the West Coast. They're all done. But the schedule's getting pretty compacted. I think we're going to be up to like 23 races. I think we're at the limit of what we can say is a good Formula One season. With the jetting they do around the globe, I don't think they need to have that many races. What would you like to see, Michael? Would you like to see them continue to expand the schedule, or should they really calm down and maybe just try to trade some races out instead?
I think they should trade some races out because sometimes I feel like the Formula One season is like the NASCAR season. I feel like the Formula One season is a bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think they should shorten out some races.
They definitely need to take some races off the schedule. If they're going to add some, this 23 race season, it's a lot. And it takes a lot out of these teams. And especially right now with what's going on with COVID-19, which hasn't really gone away. I really don't think that they need to expand this schedule anymore, because it's, especially with all the closures we're going to have, we still got to find a place for China to come back on the schedule. That race still needs to come somewhere. So I just don't know what they're going to do with the schedule.
Yeah, I have no idea, man.
But I know what we can have an idea about. It's who's going to win this week. It's time for this week of Nearest the Win, Turkish Grand Prix, and the Roval. I'm going to take Chase Elliott at the Roval. As far as the Turkish Grand Prix, I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton. I think I want to actually, you know what? I think I'll go Max Verstappen instead. Chris is also going Verstappen, but I just think this is going to be Red Bull's race, to be honest. I just have that feeling. Chris is going Larson and Max as well. Michael, who do you have?
For the Roval, I'm going to go with Harvick. I know it's a crazy pick, but...
Wow, Harvick, really?
Yeah, I know it's a crazy pick, but I need to see Stewart Haas at least get one win this year. I can't have him go win this year. And for F1, I'm not going to pick the championship duo. I'm going to pick Daniel Ricciardo.
Good pick. So if you want to play Nearest the Win, make sure you tweet out hashtag Nearest the Win with your picks for this week. So we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. No Frozen Takes with AJ here today. That show will be on tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central. Make sure you check that out. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm at DK Junior 12. Michael's at Michael_Ward25. Make sure you follow IE Sports Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as the show Twitter, Extra Mile IE Sports Radio. And make sure you check out the website, www.iesportsradio.com. And if you missed any episode of any IE Sports Radio show, you can hear it wherever podcasts can be heard. Well, the checkered flag is out for this episode. For Michael, I'm Daryl. This has been the Extra Mile. We will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.